Hello, this is Bruce, and I wanted to do a video about filing a claim for veteran disability. And this is specifically for other vets out there, other veterans out there who are in the military and who are thinking about it. And the reason I want to do this video is because I was actually very ignorant about this process, and I didn't even think that something like this was out there to support someone like me. And if you're in the same situation, then this video is for you. Okay, so first off, let me give you some context about me, so that you can maybe see if you're in the same situation, same boat as me. So I was actually in the military for about 9 years. I was in the Air Force, and I was in a pretty hardcore job. I mean, contrary to popular belief, the Air Force does have some pretty hard jobs, and I was in one of them. I was a security forces. At the time, it's called security police, and it's very brutal. It's a thankless job. And when I was in, we trained with the Army, the Marines, the Navy. It was very mixed, and the training was mixed, and very brutal, and really really physical. And I later transitioned into cross-trained, is what we call it, into another job of communications. And actually in that job I actually went to a war zone, so it wasn't, even though the job was easier, I liked comm better than being a police officer and a security guard. It was, I went through more brutal stuff in communications. So that being said, 10 years later, I get out of the military, or 10 years later, I'm out of the military, and I, I get educated on the fact that the government will actually help someone like me, a service vet who has some issues on the outside, and I just didn't know any better until recently. So that's my story. That's in a nutshell, that's what happened. And if you're in the same boat, I just want you to know that it doesn't matter how long you've been out. If you have service-related injuries, then you can still, you have a possibility. And even if you feel like you're like, I don't know if I can get this, I don't know if I can get compensation for my disabilities, or it doesn't hurt to actually just file for it. If you have any, you'll know if you have disabilities. So, or if something is affecting your job or your family. Okay, so now that that's all out of the way, who I am and who I'm talking to. My first step on this was to go to what's called a VSO office. That's a Veteran Service Organization, or Veteran Service Office. And these are state-sponsored organizations, meaning the state government actually sponsors them. So if you want to find a VSO near you, all you do is you type in your state name, VSO, and veteran, and you'll find it. They have them in California. I think it's called CalVets. They have them here in Colorado. They have them in Arkansas. All 50 states have a VSO. You might have to drive somewhere to go to it, but I highly, highly recommend it, because you don't want to go through this bureaucracy by yourself, with people, questioning your integrity, questioning your service, all that kind of stuff. You don't want to deal with this stuff alone. All right, so what they helped me to do was to file a claim, but they also help you to support your claim, meaning go back in, re-register, if you have to, or track your claim. So they do all that stuff, and these guys are experts, and they tell you the ins and outs of it. They actually determine, if you have a case right up front. They don't determine it. Actually, they just help you file the documents, and then they tell you what they went through, because a lot of times they're actually vets themselves that have been through the process, so they know not only the law, but they have actual experience with all of this. So that right there is invaluable, is very, very valuable. So I highly recommend you actually go into the office. Don't just call, because when I was there, they actually gave me a document. They said, okay, here's your appointment, Bruce, and here you're going to show up at this time, at this date, and you're going to talk to this VSO officer, and here's some documents we want you to fill out. And they gave me this packet right here. And they said, okay, they highlighted the areas they want me to fill out and all the stuff they needed me to have. It has other things here, but they said, don't worry about that. Just get, we need this filled out, we need you to bring this and that. And they told me to bring my DD-214, a notarized copy of it. And all of that's here. And they told me to bring these forms. So step 2 was the forms. So the forms that they had me to bring was a notarized DD-214, right? Of evidence of me separating when I was in the military and all that kind of stuff. And then also a medical records if I had them, which I didn't, and I thought that was a showstopper, but it's not. You don't have to have your medical records to go in there. I was thinking I'd have to file for my medical records, and that's going to take a year because the VA is so slow. And no, you don't have to. You don't need. What you do need is your DD-214. If you don't have a copy of that, then you can get it from, I believe it's called archive.gov. You can get your DD-214 pretty easily. So that one you don't have to worry about. But the military records, that takes a long time. I wouldn't even wait for it. I would just go ahead and file if you don't have those. The other form that they had me fill out was a VA 526 EZ form, which is application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. It's a long title. But essentially all it is let me see if I can, here it is right here. It's this serviceman's name, social security number, date of birth, have you ever filed a claim, basic information about the claimant. And then it goes on to ask you, okay, what are you claiming? And it has a list of all the things that they want you to claim. And this says separate sheet because they had me put it on a separate sheet so that they could actually put it in the computer. The VSO put it in the computer when we went to the appointment. What else? That's it. Just basic information about you. But you know, it's a little bit more information, but this is basic stuff, very easy to fill out. The next form they gave me was called a VA Form 21686C, and it's the Declaration of Status of Dependents. And that document, let me pull that up here. That document just basically asks you, who are your dependents? Are you married? What all? How many kids do you have? Have you been divorced before? Which I thought was an odd question, but they asked me that more than once. Things like that. You know, who's your ex? They put it in there. For some reason that's a thing. I don't know why they want to know that, but it came up again, and which we'll talk about in another video. And then the other form was a VA Form 210781, which is a statement of support of claim for service connection to PTSD. And so that form is, this form, all it has is the incident date. When you're claiming PTSD, they're linking it to an incident that occurred, that happened to you, and that's post-traumatic stress disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder is what it is. And it's where you're traumatized by some event that happened in the military, whether it be war or you know, a fight even. Like, it could be any number of things could trigger PTSD. And it's got to be service related, of course. It can't be from when you were a child or something like that. But anyway, the form looks a bit like this, and it has incident, the date that the incident that created the PTSD happened, where the location, the unit, if you were in a unit at the time, or agency, and then the date it happened from here to here, if you were assigned to like a base where it was in war, and then a description of the incident. And then there's some more information, but that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Those were the 3 forms that they had me fill out before I even went there. I filled out those forms best as I could. I brought them to the appointment with my VSO officer, who was a very knowledgeable, great guy. And the last form that they had me do was a VA Form 2122A, and it's appointment of individual claimants representative. Appointment of individual claimants representative, meaning they actually filled that one out, to be honest with you. They filled it out, and then they just had me sign it, and it's just giving them, the VSO officer, the permission to act on my behalf, to send them forms, to accept forms from the VA office, things like that. So that's it in a nutshell. You know, just so you know, you don't need your medical records to file a claim. Your military medical records. The next step came about 2-3 months later. About 2.5 months later, I got contact from a third party organization that basically does appointments for you. They set up the appointments for medical. So if you claim that you had a back injury, then they're going to set you up with a doctor that specializes in back injuries and can determine, okay, did this patient lose mobility in their back? If you claim that you have hearing loss, then they're going to set you up with a doctor that looks at your hearing. You know, an audiologist, I think it's called. If you claim that you lost vision, they're going to set you up with an optometrist, a VA approved optometrist, a VA approved psychologist if you're claiming PTSD. And I'll talk about those in a separate video. And I just wanted to, like I said, make this video so that you can be more knowledgeable on how to, if you're a claimant, that you can be more knowledgeable on what's going on and see somebody who actually went through it, is going through it actually. I will do another video talking about where this goes, like how, if I actually got my claim, if the military is actually going to come reach back and help me out, that would be really incredible. I don't regret my service, even with the stuff that happened to me there. You know, I do have some injuries. I don't regret it. It was, what can I say about it? You know, I don't agree with everything that happens, but it's an honor to serve those next to me. It was an honor to serve people who are so dedicated to something they believe in, and that's what made it worth it for me. Not only that, but I also got education. I also got very incredible training that I don't think I could have gotten anywhere else. I got to travel the world. I don't regret what I did, you know, even though I did get some injuries. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have. I'll cover some more stuff in the next video. Hello, my name is Bruce, and I want to make this second video for veterans, specifically for veterans who are about to file a claim of disability compensation from the military.